Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to do the mane for the Taggy Tails line by Stitch-A-Saurus. This is actually my first video on how to do something in crochet, so hopefully I'll get better as I go on. So many of the taggies used in the Taggy Tail series are quite similar, so if you're coming from another pattern that isn't the lion, you can most likely use the same ideas, and the same tricks if you're on a different pattern, but I'm going to be showing the lion. So this is currently using a weight 4 yarn. I'm going to do it again using a much bulkier, softer yarn right after this in case you want to see what it looks like there as well, but this is much easier to see all the stitches when I'm using a much thinner yarn. So this is up to round 16. These markers are here for the eyes that I'll put on later. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my contrast color. Now you can join, there are multiple ways to join a yarn, but I prefer this method where I just put a slip knot here and then I just insert into the first one. So you can actually start anywhere with the lion, but I just like to start on the first stitch here. So the first thing we're going to do is do 6 single crochets. So this is 1, and then I'm going to go to the next open loop here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. 6. So then what we're going to do to finish it off is we chain 2 and then turn the work. And especially with the lion, it's important that the face is facing you. So now the wrong way is facing us. So then we're going to do 6 double crochets, but back loop only. So since we've now changed directions, we need to make sure this back loop here, you'll see here this V, the back V. So we're going to insert a hook in that back V right there and do a double crochet. That's 1 double crochet. And then we yarn over, looking at our V's, we want this back loop. So this is going to be our second double crochet. Back loop again. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oops. This is the one downside to the join that I prefer is they kind of come loose a little, so you gotta pinch it while you're doing this. Just tighten the tail again there. Okay, so now that's row 2 done. So we've done the back loop only, so you'll see here we've got some open stitches. If you're not used to working with open stitches, I highly recommend putting some stitch markers like this, any kind of stitch marker, just so you can tell to go back. Oh, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn. So that is the end of row 2. Row 3 is doing 6 treble crochets or triple crochets. It has 2 names. So we yarn over twice. Push through, and then yarn over, pull through, and pull through. So you do it 3 times. So that's 1 treble crochet. So we're going to do that 6 times total. 2, 3, 4, and 6. So we've done the 6 treble crochets up for row 3, and we're going to chain 3 again and turn. So now we're back, so the wrong side is facing us again. For this one, we need to do the front loop only, and we're going to do 6 treble crochets again. So if you look here, you'll notice I have a lot of V's because of the chain, so we can count. If you're confused, you can always count backwards. So we have 1 that's kind of folded over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can also look here. It's sometimes easier if you look at this way to see which one it is. So this one, and we want, out of the V that you see here, we want this front V. Oops, yarn over one more time. So for again, treble crochet, so yarn over twice and then pull, yarn over and pull through 3 times. So that's 1. Again, front loop only, so we're going to get our hook between, in that V right there. 1, 2, so that's 2. Oopsies. I'm leaving in all my mistakes just so you guys know that everybody makes mistakes. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Whoopsies. Popped right out there. Okay. Not really sure how I like that last one, so I'm actually going to pull that out and redo that last stitch. That's better. That looks much better. All right, so then you'll see here, back on row 2, you can see our back loops. And when we end this by chaining 2 to turn, you'll see our open loops. Now we're not actually going to do anything with these open loops. This is just going to help fold the tag over, but I just wanted to show off those loops. So row 5 is doing 6 double crochets. So you yarn over once and then pull through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we end by chaining 1. So you can see here our tag's getting kind of tall. Turn it around. And we do 6 single crochets just across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 1, and then turn. So this is about what it's going to look like. Zoom out a little here. You'll have this long tag just kind of sticking out, but it's important that when we're going back, like this, it needs to be facing in this direction because we're going to fold it over and those front loops are going to be here at the top. So what we're going to do is find the first stitch, which is right here, put our hook through, and then come back down here to this row where we had the open loops. There we go. So you'll see here, there's my first open loop. And again, if you're not used to looking at these, it's much better to mark them so when you come back, you can see it. So then I'm going to do a slip stitch through both of those layers. So now I'm going to find the second, and then the second open loop down here, and then just slip stitch through. So that's 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. And that is our first tag. So you're going to have a total of 12. And to just start the next one, you can see here my next open loop is right there. And you're just going to start over. So you're going to do the 6 single crochets from row 1, then chain 2 and turn to do the double crochet. So you're just going to go back and forth. And then when you come back down, you're going to slip stitch across, and then you'll get the next open loop. So you don't have to do any sewing, you just have to sew in the tails at the very end. And that is how you make a tag for the Taggy Tails lion. Next, I will show what it looks like with a thicker yarn. Because I know many people like the thicker yarn these days. So it's a little more difficult to see the open loops on fluffier or thicker yarn. So definitely, if you're not used to it, highly recommend, again, marking at least where you would like to start. But if you look very closely here, you can see and kind of get your hook in. Whoops, it's a little difficult to get the hook in on this chunkier yarn. Kind of have to. If you have difficulties with it, sometimes it helps to have a needle kind of pull up the loop a little, and then you can get your hook through, especially since you're going to most likely be using a larger hook as I am here. I was using a 4mm and now I'm using a 5mm. So I'm going to just show real quick. It's not going to be any different. I just wanted to show what it looks like with the fluffier yarn in case that's what you're working with and you want to compare your work to mine. Five and 6. So you'll see here, that's what it's looking like so far. Let me do the chain 2. Okay. So I'm going to do the back loop only. So you'll see here, you can see the V's a little, not as clearly as the old one. So we want the back loop for this row. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's what it's looking like so far. And then we chain 3 and turn. Now we're going to do 6 treble crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's what it's looking like so far. And then we chain 3 and turn to start row 4. So again, for row 4, we only want the front loops. So you'll see here our V. This is the front loop of the V. So we want only to go into the front loop. There we go. Like that. So 1, and again, front loop only. Trying to show it off without the tail getting in the way. So you'll see here it's going in between 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then to finish off the row, we chain 2 and turn. So then we'll do 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then chain 1 and turn. So again, the wrong side is now facing us. And we do 6 single crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we do chain 1. And this is when we're going to go back into those open loops back from row 2. So it's easier if you kind of set it up that way a little. All right. So we're going to put our hook through the first stitch, and then we're going to look for our back loop. There it is. And we slip stitch. That's 1. Put it through. Find the next open back loop. Slip stitch number 2. Put it through. Find the next open loop. 3. 4. 5. There we go. And 6. Let me zoom out a little there. And that is tag again. This is with a thicker yarn, so yours, depending on which yarn you're using or which one you want to look at, hopefully that helps. And like I said, you just start on the next open loop, which would be right here, and you just keep going around. I hope this has been helpful, and have fun making your lion or whatever animal you had to be working on with my patterns. Thank you and have a great day.